Thanks for your presentation. Seamus, just to clarify, this new rule is an EU rule, I presume, is it?
About the movement of calves from have to stop in Cherbourg.
Yeah.
That actually rule was there, I suppose, all the time, but it wasn't enforced, right? The rule of 919 was that from the time the animals leave Rosslare Harbour, right, you have 19 hours to get to the feeding stations to feed them, right? So normally when we were leaving and coming out to Cherbourg, when the first two stations was full, we were able to go on to the next station. We were proceeding on to the next station.
What has changed?
What has changed now is that in France, some trucks were followed, right, and these people, these animal rights, were saying that the calves travelled an extra 3 or 4 hours, right, and it's not fair to the calves, and the journey is too long, and the trucks that was carrying them broke the EU regulations.
Right. So you correctly, but you asked a question earlier on. I think I'll answer that for you about the problem with us not being able to get cattle killed in Northern Ireland.
Sorry.
You spoke earlier on about our problem of getting cattle killed in England
and
in Northern Ireland. I'll answer that for you. It is my view that there are certain monopolies there that is preventing Irish beef, and no more than the 30 months and all the different regulations. If they're stuck for cattle, they couldn't give a damn if there were 40 months, and if they have plenty of cattle, then there's a problem with everything. In the line of the movements, would you agree that, and to Ray as well, would you agree that B&B shouldn't be a movement, and would you agree that when they go to marts and maybe not sold, that these are movements in Ireland that we could actually help? You are right in saying, Ray, that the food chain in England has put stipulations on it, but there are a certain amount of movements, I think, or would there be an idea that should be looked at, that if a farmer is Board B approved and the farmer that the animal came from, that then it runs in line, that because they're running at the same regulations, that we need to look at that with the department in some way. To Seamus, are you saying that we need to, that the Department of Agriculture, it would be advisable that they would come in with you to try and look at alternative accommodation in France? As you've rightly pointed out, the next 2 months, or from February to April, is when you're going to get the glut of calves. Is there a problem in getting, and this is probably in sending out, say, stronger cattle than calves, is there a problem in getting sort of licenses and paperwork in order? Do you be held up here? And thirdly, Board B, a straight question to you, Seamus, have they ever, because the meat factories are brought out on trade missions, have they ever brought ye, as exporters of live cattle, on trade missions to other countries to promote the say, cattle on the hoof, we'll call them, going out to those other countries?
Okay. Right. The answer to that question is, right, there's a chosen few brought. Yes, that is the answer to that question. What the chairman said, that I have to be careful about what I say or things, right, but I feel, right, and I have to be very honest about it, as we are in the business for the last 20 years, right, I feel that I pay my levies to Board B every week, and I feel that Board B, there's nothing for me. It's a waste of my money. It's a waste for the exporters, right? Okay, and I feel that we have to look at something different, right? Because the mindset of Board B is on the beef industry, right, and sell the beef. It's nothing to do with the exports, right? And they're not there to do anything with exports. I'm getting no help from Board B, right? And between off-farm sales and what went through our books this year, we're talking 40,000 calves, the guts of it, right? Okay, but I'm getting no help. One issue arose that I waited, I requested information from Poland to meet some people in Poland, and I waited for 6 weeks where the email went to the wrong address, right, for people to come back to me to meet Polish people to sell them the calves, because there's a market there. But I waited 6 weeks, and then it got over the time. It was not good to me. Personally, myself, I think that we have to look at a lot different things. Yes, they're good for the beef industry, right? But for the exports, my opinion is they are no help to me.
Are we capable, Seamus, and this is a sort of supplementary question to you, I know that you said 1.7 million cattle and 2.4 that are born a year in Ireland calves. The reality of it is, and the dog on the street knows, that once we go over 30,000 of a kill each week, we're in trouble. They can pull your trousers down in the factory for the simple reason the farmer is left with a lower price. That's the facts of that. Whether we like that or whether we don't, we see it. It's a stated fact what happens. Are we capable of, or what amount of cattle are we capable of between calves and bigger cattle? What's the potential? This is what I want to know. To look at the figures you've talked about there, it's like 2.4 million as again 1.7, so you're talking about 700,000 cattle. Are we capable of pushing that up more between calves, weanlings, say the Frisian bullocks or bulls that went out that'll be over a year and a half? Are we capable of going for is there more markets out there that we could try and keep sort of the weighing scale levelled to keep an even price, in my view, for the cattle that's being killed in this country?
The answer is yes. There's a lot of potential there, but the potential is not being looked for. There's serious amount of business to be done there if we have the right people working for us. If we had the right committee lined up, that we could put somebody in place for to look at these different countries, right? My feeling about all this is, right, it's very, very hard to have your foot in two camps. You can't be working for the meat industry and you can't be working for the exports, right? You can't do the two things, right? So you need a body of people that's able to look at the exports of the cattle, right? And there is a lot of potential in the Balkans and places like that for the cattle, and into Poland, right? And the biggest industry we lost here, we lost it 4 years ago, right? We were sending a market of calves out to Holland. They were called rosé calves, 4 to 5 weeks old, yeah? And our calves was entering into Holland every week. And the next thing, because of these were calves 4 and 5 years, roughish calves, not real sweet ones, like, you know, they were growing out of baby size, right? And they weren't really good enough for the Spanish market, but they were very good for the Dutch market. And the next thing, we were going every week with the calves, and then the calves ended up, because of the TB in Ireland, they made restrictions in Holland that all Irish calves that go to Holland, once they enter the feeding, once they enter the rearing sheds, they can't leave. These calves that we're speaking about, these rosé calves, they were going to be reared at 10 weeks old and then shipped on to some other part of Holland or sent into Germany for to be fattened and sold at 12 months old. We lost that market, and that's a market we never should have lost, right? That was a very important market to the Frisian calves, because it kept the price of the calves up in Spain. Them older calves is making the Spanish market a better market for us to go. Now all them extra calves have to go to Spain. So what the moral of the story is, our calves going to Holland can't move out of the units to go into. When they go into them units, they're there until they're dead at a year old, until they're killed, right? Because of the TB issue. So that's the problem in Holland. The problem with the other markets, there's not problems with other markets because you can move and you can sell the cattle. We have to look at the thing about looking for ships as 2 or 3 ships is no good. We need to have 5 or 6 or 7 ships or 10 ships that are passed here in Ireland, them ships can be faultless, right? So that them ships can be called on at any time to come here. The potential is there. We have the livestock to ship. We have the capabilities. We have the best animal welfare in the whole of the European Union, right? Second to none. We can't ask, I have to say that we can't say that the department don't, people say that about the certification and things like that. Any certification that we went to look for off the department, they were more than fair to try and facilitate us to do it, and have been more than helpful, right? Only this issue we have now at the moment, right? But the biggest problem that we have to look at, and I see about, is this 4 movements. Because what's going to happen in rural Ireland and in Ireland is, right, that a lot of people that's in this whole game in Ireland is getting less and less and less. Because if I buy a calf in the market system and I bring it home and then I resell that to the farmer, that's 2-3 movements, right? The owner, the mart, and myself. Isn't that correct, is it?
Yeah. The mark's not counted.
No, the mart. It's 2 movements.
No, the mark's not counted.
Yeah, and then I go on to the third guy, go on to the guy that's feeding the animal for a couple of months, right, or for 5 or 6 months, and he sells it again. Then we're into the issues of the 4 movements, and then we lose all we lose whatever profit is in them. So it's not economical to buy the cattle. So the biggest thing is we have to look at the 4 movements.